Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Souls Harbor Ministries today.
Amen.
We're all pumped up here this morning. Amy's all happy and filling us full of joy today. Where we need to be. Today's message is entitled Overcoming Spiritual Curses. We've been doing a series about walking in victory and dealing with some of the things that we need to do there. And I believe that at this time that God desires an acceleration for the salvation of the lost and victory for His children. I get a sense of urgency. When I look at the world today, I see that drastic measures are needed. The kingdom of darkness is really taking over this world. We can see it in so many different ways. We were just recently looking at some different news reports and some things that I didn't even actually realize were happening. For example, California and a lot of the West has been in a drought for 11 years. I didn't know they were in an 11-year drought. The water on the Colorado River is 150 feet below the level that it should be at the Hoover Dam. They're panicking. They're saying there's not enough water. On top of that, we've got other parts of the country that have just gone through massive floods, tornadoes. You know, we're dealing with all sorts of natural phenomenon. Of course, as you know, we're all dealing with the financial crisis that's hit this country and the world. There's apparently an education crisis that they've just realized, that our students in the U.S. are now 25th in the world when it comes to math and science and the other important education, where before they were number one. Guess what, everybody? They were number one when God was number one in the schools.
Amen.
They took God out of the schools and we dropped to 25. And they're all searching to try to figure out why. Newsflash! Put God back in the schools, you'll go back up to number one. Amen? Anyway, got off track.
Well, God's got to be in the home first.
Well, He does. That's true too.
Got to start there.
Got to start in the home and then put Him back in the schools.
That's
Amen.
right.
So along these lines, I believe that God is showing His people the importance of mass deliverance. He's showing us how to effectively help the most number of people with a very wide range of problems. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. One of the keys of doing this is overcoming the king of demonic curses. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get started, and first of all, let's understand what is a curse. A curse, by definition, is an expression or verbalization of a wish or a misfortune. A curse must be spoken. So before I go any further, let's realize the fact that Satan and his demons cannot speak curses. People do.
We can.
But they influence people to do so. Okay, it's important that we understand that. Let's go on and start to read some of the examples. We have some Bible examples of curses so that we can see that they are actually true. They actually do exist. I gave you a few. There's hundreds of them in the Bible. So of course I didn't give you all of them. I just gave you a few to just give you an idea. Let's read Genesis 3:17. To Adam he said, because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat of it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through pain, toil, you will eat of it all the days of your life. Notice here it's Adam's disobedience, but the ground is cursed. He didn't say, Adam, I curse you. He said, I curse the ground. So understand that it's not only people that receive curses. It's areas, territories. Okay?
Well, that one thing dawned on me on that, it almost is saying in the Garden of Eden that He's saying from here on you're going to eat whatever the ground produces. So it's really saying to me, which I had it backwards. I was thinking that Adam and Eve actually picked different fruits and ate from the trees. Is really what I'm hearing is that He provided the food.
God provided the food, but He provided the ground to produce the food. The ground's job was to produce in abundance.
Right.
That's
Now
what
it's going to be like.
Now it's
We
going
have
to
to work
curse.
it.
and it has to be worked before it's going
Need
to
some
produce.
John Deere's.
That's it. It's going to need to be fertilized. It's going to need to be watered. It's going to be, you got to work it a little bit to
Right.
produce something.
Fertilizer.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at Genesis 4, 10 through 12. The Lord said, "What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crop for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth." Now this is a personal curse. God has now said to Cain, because of what you did to your brother, you are now personally cursed. And now the ground will not yield anything to you, no matter what you do to it. And in addition to that, I am going to affect your mind and your peace. You'll be restless and a wanderer. Okay, so Cain could no longer be at peace because of what he had done. And that's happened to many people in this day. They're not at peace because of the sins that they've committed against God. It may not have been murder, but there are sins that you can commit that you will not be at peace with until you reconcile with God.
I just want to add to that, society doesn't realize, even our country doesn't realize, for everything they do, they bring destruction upon themselves. Like you just said, taking God out of schools.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a price to pay for that.
Price to pay. Legalizing abortion. There's a price
Legalizing same-sex marriage.
to pay. Legalizing same-sex marriage. You're exactly right. There's a price to pay.
There's a price to pay for what you do.
And the country can be cursed as well.
Well, maybe that's why the country's getting the hurricanes and the tornadoes.
Maybe why.
And the this and the no water and.
Well, let's look at Deuteronomy 4. We're going to start with verse 21. The Lord was angry with me because of you. This is Moses talking. And he solemnly swore that I would not cross the Jordan and enter the good land the Lord your God is giving you as your inheritance. I will die in this land. I will not cross the Jordan, but you are about to cross over and take possession of that good land. Be careful not to forget the covenant of the Lord your God that he made with you. Do not make for yourselves an idol in the form of anything the Lord your God has forbidden. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. Verse 25. After you have had children and grandchildren and have lived in the land a long time, here comes the curse. If you then become corrupt and make any kind of idol, doing evil in the eyes of the Lord your God, and provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth as witnesses against you this day, that you will quickly perish from the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess. You will not live there long, but will certainly be destroyed. The Lord will scatter you among the peoples, and only a few of you will survive among the nations to which the Lord will drive you. There you will worship man-made gods of wood and stone, which cannot see or hear or eat or smell. But if from there, okay, so he put a curse upon them, but then he's gonna back off and give them a way out. But if from there you seek the Lord your God, you will find him if you look for him, and your heart, with all your heart, and with all your soul. When you're in distress, all these things have happened to you. Then in the later days you will return to the Lord your God and obey him. For the Lord your God is merciful God. He will not abandon or destroy you, or forget the covenant with your forefathers, which he confirmed to them by an oath. So in this case, Moses is both blessing and cursing the people. He's saying to them, in a way, I can almost hear his frustration with the people. Look, you're going to get to go to the promised land. I don't even get to go. I'm jealous because I didn't get to go. God's not letting me go. But you get to go, fine. You get to go. God's going to bless you. I'm good with that. But if when you get there, you screw this up, I'm placing this curse on you. This is what's going to happen to you. And lo and behold, it happens. We know the history of Israel. This all takes place. Okay? Look at Deuteronomy 28.